أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I'm Altaf Hussain. I serve as the Vice President of the Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research, and I want to welcome you to this session. Inshallah, you're in for an amazing session as always, and we thank the Muslim American Society for hosting us as Yaqeen. We had an academic conference yesterday, and indeed we'll have this 1-hour session today. For those of you who are not familiar with Yaqeen, we started just a little over a year ago, last October of 2016. We launched formally. And the idea was always there that Muslims and even people of other faiths were looking at Islam much more, but they were not, and there has not been available content to be able to address some of the most difficult questions facing humanity at large, but in particular about Islam and the core beliefs. So we are dedicated to translate classical texts, to analyze them, and to get experts who are in this space to be able to create material in the form of journals, articles, videos, basically to be able to say it's free and accessible to anyone who wants to understand authentic Islam and really answer the questions that are facing all of us today in terms of modern civilization. So without further ado, it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce our president and founder of Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research, Sheikh Omar Suleiman.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wala. Jazakallah khair. Dr. Altaf, he disappeared already. For all that he does, alhamdulillah, for our community, for being essential to Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research and so many other organizations, and the da'wah as a whole, and the work that we do as a Muslim community here in the United States. May Allah reward him and reward those like him that have selflessly given themselves to this cause, alhamdulillah. So I have the pleasure of also introducing someone, but before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about Confident Muslim. Confident Muslim was a program that Yaqeen Institute started from the very beginning, in which we tried to shine light on some of the most talented individuals in our community, those that not only were talented, not only showed great promise, but those that could root their contribution or their proposed contribution in our text, in a place of conviction. The finished product of Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research is to hopefully produce confident Muslims, people who have that great conviction and contribute through that great conviction they have in their deen. So we started this last year, alhamdulillah, and MAS was generous enough to give us a session at that time, and may Allah reward them once again for giving us this session. We're very appreciative of that. And we decided that every year we would award the best presentation, or a presentation that we felt like was most deserving of a Muhammad Ali Confident Muslim Award. Alhamdulillah, we awarded our first Muhammad Ali Confident Muslim Award with the daughter of Muhammad Ali, Rashida Ali, a few weeks ago in Dallas, Texas, and now we are in the new session of the Confident Muslim program. And there are very few people that you can find that get caught doing the right thing. And because of that, they not only show a better image of Muslims, but they show the power of Islam to transform them and to transform through them. You know, in an era where people get caught doing bad, you don't find many people that get caught doing good behind the scenes, just being themselves. And that's one of the most beautiful characteristics of the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who are closest to Allah, that they do a very simple act, but through that simple act, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam notes them, and because of that, they inspire their entire Muslim community to do better. So how many of you remember seeing this video, which is going to play, well, you might have seen this video of this brother by the name of Ibn Ali Miller. Ibn Ali Miller is a beautiful brother, mashallah. I've had the chance to sit with him just now before this program. And he basically got caught breaking up a street fight because he cared enough about these two young men to stop them from getting themselves into greater trouble. And he's a brother, mashallah, that's dedicated to Islamic work. And subhanAllah, someone just took a cell phone video of that, and then LeBron James tweeted it out, and a bunch of people tweeted it out. And this brother became a national sensation, mashallah. He was on Steve Harvey and different shows, received numerous awards from the city, and just beautiful tributes that he gave to his mother, which I thought was the most beautiful, about how she raised him to be that person that he was. SubhanAllah, I can't think of a better person that represents the confident Muslim that we are trying to produce than him. So we're going to play the video, inshallah ta'ala, of that street fight, for those of you that don't know. And then inshallah ta'ala, we're going to bring him onto the stage. And I want you to give him, once he comes on, a great welcome for the first time here at MAS-ICNA, inshallah ta'ala, and through the Confident Muslim program. So we'll play the video, inshallah ta'ala, and then he'll come out and speak for a bit, and then we'll have a talk show, a conversation on Islam in the inner city. So please do direct your attention to the video, inshallah, and then shortly after, welcome our brother Ibn Ali Miller. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Everybody on y'all phones though, all y'all the real cowards. Record that too. Everybody on the phone, record that. Everybody recording the phone, real coward. Ain't cool, man. Y'all in the middle of the street. Look, she's smiling and laughing. They laughing. Look, he laughing. He got a big smile on his face, little bro. He got a big smile on his face. Look at your man right here. It's supposed to be your man. He dying. He can't look. He can't even laugh. Look, looking up. Listen, look, they all laughing, little bro. But you really upset, and you really upset. You more mad than he is. I can see it in your face. So you fighting for a reason. He only fighting you because you want to fight him. Because you mad.
He came to me. He texted me.
So you
some shit I don't even know.
So you defending yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
All right, look, little bro. So you in the right. You defending yourself. But look at the crowd. And little bro, look. Whatever you text him for that you don't know, you was ill-advised. My thing is, look at the trick of the devil. Who ill-advised you? Look around. Who ill-advised you? Who told you wrong? Who told you wrong? You don't gotta answer that. I'm saying, who told you wrong though, little bro? And the only reason I'm saying this to all y'all, yo, because y'all almost men. All of y'all, yo. Y'all almost men. Y'all ain't kids no more. Y'all girls ain't little girls no more. Y'all, look, yo. Y'all men, yo. Y'all men, yo. 14, 15, 16, 17. Y'all men. Start acting like it, yo. We ain't gonna get nowhere like this, yo. Y'all gonna wind up like the niggas y'all wanna be like, yo. Word up. You Word up. Look, they still laughing. They still laughing. You upset. Think about that. Anybody can laugh at you.
Dave, y'all ugly.
Straight up, yo. Straight up, yo. Straight up. Anybody can laugh at you. Why you upset like that? They ain't your friend. And they sit here and let you do the dirty work. I don't even know what went on, but I know what went on though. And they sit here and let you do the dirty work.
I'ma freeze.
Came to you, little bro. Oh yeah, word. Say what, bro?
My neck gonna be stiff as hell.
He not no punk. He ain't no, but they know he not no punk. They know he not no punk. So they gonna send you what? Now y'all out here fighting in the middle of the street. Now y'all out here fighting in the middle of the street, huh? Now all y'all, hey yo, please, yo. Sound like a little bro. All y'all though, y'all got parents, yo. Y'all got parents, yo. Don't make your parents look like this, yo. Word up. Don't make your parents look like this, yo. It's important, yo. Don't make your mom and dad look like this, yo. Word up, man. And if y'all live around here, y'all listen with good. Mess that up, huh? Mess that up, huh? Hey, yo, you, I know where you from. I know where you from. Humble beginnings. Your mom and dad work hard to get where they at, yo. They work hard to get where they at, yo. I'm telling y'all, yo, little bruh, your dad doing life. You think it's a game out here? Ain't no game out here. It's real out here, little bruh. Y'all playing games, yo. Stop playing games, man. Y'all don't, yo, I'm telling y'all, man, don't let nobody do that to y'all, man. Y'all shake hands, bro. I'm telling y'all gotta do that, bro. Like right now, like I'm telling y'all gotta do that, bro. It's gonna be a problem with me. Shake hands, bro. Bro, shake hands, bro. Bro, shake hands, bro. Shake hands, yo. Hey, yo, shake hands, yo. That's all, man, I'm leaving. I ain't leaving, bro. Y'all don't shake hands, bro. I'm not leaving, bro. I'm not leaving, bro. Shake hands, bro.
But just shake his hand, bro.
Shake hands, bro.
You gotta spit.
Shake hands, bro.
Better spit in
That's
your
it,
hand and
bro.
shake that nigga hand.
Yo, nah. Now look. Now look. Now look. Now look. Now look. Now look. They want y'all to be enemies. Now look. He can't even stop smiling.
You ugly as hell. Ah, you got
Get
that
a sign
one.
of good faith. Put your hand back out, bro. He gonna shake it this time, I promise you. Put your hand back out, bro. He gonna shake it, bro. Y'all be good, bro. I'm telling y'all, man.
Everyone, please welcome our brother Ibn Ali Miller. So.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والمن والاه. Excuse me. We start with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we say alhamdulillah for all of the things that He has endowed upon us that was not obligatory upon Him. We send a complete and a perfect salat and salam upon our Master Mohammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to raise his rank and his status. His family, his companions, his Muslim nation, and those who loved him. Ameen. I won't take up too much of your time. And I can't see all of your faces, and I wish I could. The message that I have for you today, this is better. Is that better? Okay, alhamdulillah. I'm still getting used to this. Inshallah, today it is my intention to represent for a group of people and a group of Muslims whom it is felt that the larger Muslim community have forgotten about. And these are the indigenous black Muslims in America. Wait, before you give me a round of applause, because by the time I finish, maybe you'll boo me. I don't know. Here's the catch. How many of you are from Palestine? Make some noise. Alhamdulillah. Anybody from Syria? Alhamdulillah. Egypt? MashaAllah. Morocco? Okay, how about the Daisy community? Anybody, okay. Anybody from Pakistan? Bangladesh? Okay. How many people here are from an American ghetto? Okay, alhamdulillah. I'll ask the question one more time. Please answer it honestly. Make some noise. How many people here are from an American ghetto? Okay, alhamdulillah. That's more than I was expecting. Why do you mention this, Ibn Ali? Why are you mentioning American ghettos? Why are you mentioning places and people? Why are you mentioning black Muslims? Why are you mentioning these things? Alhamdulillah, my life has changed. A year ago, I was working 10 hours a day to support my family on a construction site. Sometimes 12 hours. I had the calluses to prove it, on my hands and on my feet. Today, I literally go around the world speaking and spreading Islam about those Muslims in the ghetto. But one should ask themselves, why is speaking about Muslims in the ghetto such a hot topic? Why is it such a hot topic? And I'll tell you why. Because those Muslims in the ghettos, those people in the inner cities, period, are literally the leaders of tomorrow. 1 second, no clapping, no clapping. Why do I say they're the leaders of tomorrow? Because anyone from Palestine, anyone from Iraq, anyone from Iran, any of these places, anyone from the old country who's living in the new country today, when you look at your children, many of us, there's a divide between the parents and the children. So first I want to say to all of the children who feel that your parents don't understand you, please, please be merciful on your parents and be merciful on their customs and be merciful on them raising you in a place that they are not from. On the flip side, parents, when your son or your daughter, when they turn on the television, when they turn on hip-hop music, anything that has anything to do with American pop culture, is going to be largely influenced by those kids in the ghetto. From LeBron James and his sneakers, to the big rappers, to the big singers, the clothes they wear, the jewelry they wear, the slang words they use. It's literally made acceptable in a social realm by those kids in the ghetto. And it's very important for many of you who are not from these places to understand these particular dynamics. Why? Because sometimes these days we are losing our children who have no idea what any of this stuff is about. They just like the song. They just like the TV show. They just like the Nike sneakers. They just want to be from the West. So here's the thing. In the inner cities, there is corruption. There is corruption. There's murder. There's drugs, drug selling, and there's drug addiction. There's prostitution. There's stealing, there's lying, there's backbiting. All of the ills that you could possibly imagine, they exist in the ghetto, and they're magnified there. But even amongst the darkness, there are people, some of them you know of, like Malcolm X, rahimahullah. Give him a round of applause. Like Muhammad Ali, rahimahullah. But how many of you know of a man named Imam Mohammed? 1, 2 people here. He's a person responsible for teaching me Islam. I was 19 years old. I walked into the masjid. I asked him to help me with a crisis that I had, and he helped me. He helped me. I won't say what it was, but I will tell you it was illegal and haram. He didn't turn me away. He gave me practical advice, and then he held my hand, and he held my hand for years. And then he taught me how to grab the hands of other young men, hold their hands, and to never let them go. This man that I'm mentioning, he's a light. He is a light. He's not going to travel around the world. No one's going to say, hey, you're Ibn Ali's teacher. Hey, you're the guy who taught the guy who broke up the fight, right? No one's going to do that. Inshallah, I will. I'll tell you his name. I'll tell you his story. I'll tell you that every time you hear me mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I'm praying that he has some of that reward. Because he didn't have to hold my hand. He didn't have to walk me through a life crisis that I was having. He didn't have to pay my bills, literally pay my bills, because I didn't have the money and I didn't have an income to do so. When I started to study the deen, he gave me the charity on the Eid. I cried for like 2 days, literally. It's only like $1,000. Our community is poor, like $1,000. But for me, a young person, no one's ever done anything for me. No one's ever cared about anything that we've cared about. And here he is. He wants to make sure that my mind is being taken care of. And he's teaching me sacred knowledge. He wants to make sure that my body is taken care of, that I have food in my house to eat, to feed my wife and to feed my children. But more importantly than that, he wants to make sure that my soul is in good shape. Because here's the thing, young people, old people, black people, white people, green people, whatever. It's a shell. These are clothes. Everything I'm saying to you, these are just words. I could possibly be saying these things just for you guys to say, oh, Ibn Ali, mashallah, he's a good speaker. Alhamdulillah, Allah reward him. But in reality, if one is thinking about his soul, if one is truly thinking about his soul, then one is thinking about death. And one is thinking about returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's thinking every step he takes, every word he says, every thought that he has, how is this going to affect me and my positioning with God? Because the video clip that you've seen, I'm telling you, by Allah, I had no idea that it would turn into this and me speaking to you today. No idea. But I was represented from my hood, from where I'm from. Because those young men, they look like me. Those young men, they look like me. They speak the same broken English language that I speak. They went to the same broken schools and were fed by the same welfare system and food stamps, those young men. Social economics are identical between me and those young men. And alhamdulillah, I have to tell you the truth, that today it saddens me that it's actually some type of phenomenon for me to take care of my own people from my own city and from my own hood. So I've bored you enough, so I'm going to stop now. The only thing that I have to say is find your connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you have a lot, find your connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if you're a person, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, one of these things, you're making a lot of money in the West, right? Be like Abu Bakr. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he calls for you and he calls for your help, bring everything you got. Everything you got. But on the flip side, and this is the case of many of the young men and young women who grew up where I grew up, if dunya is not your thing, you don't have money, you don't have cars, you don't have a big degree and a fancy job, all you have is time. All you have is time. What does a person do if all he has is time? Then this one, you should be like Abu Hurairah rahimahullah, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and record more hadith than anybody in this nation. So all of you, young people, please find your purpose. Are you the person who's going to change Islam in the future? Are you the person who is going to make Islam socially acceptable in the future? Or are you the person who will fund that person? Who are you? Who are you? Ask yourself this question: who am I? Set a clear intention, and then inshallah die on that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How about another round of applause, mashallah, for our brother Ibn Ali, a moving
No.
speech.
Let's try one better, inshallah. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Louder than that. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
So alhamdulillah, I think you touched on a lot of things in the speech and that I'd like to bring back up, inshallah.
Inshallah.
But first, on a personal level, you have 7 kids, mashallah.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
And the 7th was just born last week or the
2
week
weeks.
before? 2 weeks ago. So his 7th.
Yeah, we made Rabi Awal, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah. Mashallah. And her name is Fatima. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless
Make dua
her.
for her, Allah make her righteous. Ameen.
Allah make her righteous and make her the coolness of your eyes and of your wife's eyes and of your parents' eyes and everyone, your entire community's eyes. Allahumma ameen. So,
And lastly, I'm sorry, Sheikh, to cut you off.
yeah.
And everyone, please make dua for my wife, because I mean, my job, I have to feed them, but she has to teach them. So please make dua for her, because my wife is the real hero in this story, inshallah.
MashaAllah. One of the most beautiful clips that I saw when that whole thing happened was the clip of you talking about your mother, mashallah, and you were tearing up talking about your mother, and alhamdulillah, as you just showed right now, you have a great appreciation for the women in your life and those that supported you and continue to support you today. Can you tell us a little bit about your parents? Because you mentioned that that compassion that you have for them. Alhamdulillah, you mentioned your teacher, but your parents. When did your parents come to Islam? Did your parents?
My father converted. He was 10 or 11 in the 80s. Excuse me. And my mother was 16 when she converted. And they knew, my father converted at 10, and then my mother at 16 in the 80s. And they knew each other their whole lives growing up, even before Islam, all of that. However, my father, he converted, he got killed. He was 20 years old in Atlantic City in 1991. I was 1 year old, alhamdulillah. And so my mom, she raised us by herself. And like here's the thing, this is like about the deen, and alhamdulillah, my relationship with my parents, it pushed me to want to be a better Muslim, because the Prophet ﷺ, he said something that means that when the Muslim offspring of Adam dies, that all of his deeds, they stop except for 3: charity, knowledge, and then the prayers from a pious offspring. So my father, rahimahullah, a lot of what you see of me today and just striving, trying to be, the best Muslim that I can be, inshallah, it's the hopes that when I make dua for him, that Allah Ta'ala will accept. And then my mother, alhamdulillah, she raised us on her own. She raised the orphan. In Islam, when we say orphan in America, we think of like a street kid, no parents, no nothing. That's the worst case scenario. But in Islam, an orphan is anyone who doesn't have a mother or a father, right? And we know this from the narrations. And alhamdulillah, it's very, very hard for someone to grow up not having their mom or not having their dad. It's very, very difficult. And whatever parent you do have, whether it's your mom or your dad, they have to take, my mom had to deal with a lot of emotional outcries growing up. She had to deal with me getting in trouble, street stuff, street gangs, my friends, all of that stuff. But a lot of it was a cry out, because we just needed someone to pay attention to us. We wanted someone to notice us, because of this void that we had. And my mom, alhamdulillah, before I became someone who people were looking up to, my mom, she dealt with us and taught us and nurtured us and showed us a way and didn't give up on us that entire time, Because if you meet me 10 years ago, maybe you never think I'm sitting here with you today.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your mother and have mercy on your father.
Ameen, ya Rab. Ya Rab. My father, his name is Ali, inshallah. Make dua for him by name, that Allah Ta'ala has mercy on him and gives him light in his grave. And my mother, her name is Sabrina. Make dua for her by name, inshallah, and ask Allah Ta'ala to give her a good ending.
Jazakumullah khair. So, walk me through this, when this all happened, when did you first hear about the video going viral? I actually want to know that. Were you on Twitter and you saw LeBron tweet it?
No, yeah, I was, excuse me, sorry about that. I was asleep, actually, and my wife was like, turn your phone off, actually, because it kept buzzing. And I think everyone sleeps with their phone now. I don't think anyone doesn't sleep with their phone anymore. And but it kept, bling, 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 bling. And I had just got the phone, so I didn't know how to turn the thing on the back off where the light would flash like that. And so she said, turn it off. And maybe like 10 o'clock that night, we started getting phone calls and phone calls and phone calls. And but I was studying, so our classes were starting at Fajr with Abu Qasim. It was just online, but we had like 8 hours a day of classes, so like from Fajr all the way to Asa every day. So I was trying to get some sleep, and it kept ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. And then my mom called me, and she says, it's like 10 o'clock at night. She says, I have somebody from the news on the phone. I'm like, wait, why are you talking to somebody from the news at 10 o'clock at night? And then, yeah, alhamdulillah, that's kind of how we found out. Yeah.
So when it all kind of happened, so you went on all, you know, his talk shows, you got a lot of awards, alhamdulillah, and you know, this really went viral in every sense of the word, and a lot of those clips went viral.
Alhamdulillah.
Those two kids that you had broke up that fight, are you in touch with them? What kind of conversations you guys have?
Every day. The taller kid, more heavy set, lighter skinned kid, he has a good mom, good foundation. He doesn't have his father. So that's what you've seen of him. That's why he was out there fighting, right? He doesn't have his father, but he's not a bad kid. He's an AB honor roll student. He's ROTC. He's definitely going to go to college. He's a good kid. So with him, my thing with him, his name is Jamar. My thing with him is, listen, dude, you just got to stay on the path you're on, you know? And the other kid, however, his name's Sheldon, his family, drug abuse. He doesn't have his mother. He has his father sometimes. SubhanAllah, we went to Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey gave everyone $5,000. And we got back to the city, he was robbed. People pulling guns out on him. So going viral for him has actually made his life a little bit harder than it was before. Because before that, nobody knew who he was. He was, you know, nobody. But now, because everyone's starving, they think he has some type of money or something like that. So he's constantly being, literally constantly, like, robbed at gun. He's been robbed at gunpoint 4 or 5 times after the video went viral. But, alhamdulillah, this Ramadan, Lilatul Qadr, he came to the masjid and he took shahada. He's a Muslim now. Yeah. So if someone was to ask me, what's the greatest thing, you know, like what's the best thing that's happened since that, and it would be that young man believing in La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
MashaAllah. SubhanAllah. I can't imagine how fulfilling that was. And I mean, honestly, I think, you know, your presence, mashallah, you being around people, you know, you're showing them the beauty of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. When you were out there, when you were on that show, when you were on those different places, you didn't have to say anything about your Islam. You just had to talk about who you were and about the character and about your mother and things of that sort. Did anyone else make a comment about Islam throughout that time? Like when you were going around making those different appearances, did anyone actually ask you about the deen or ask you about what influence Islam had on you or ask you questions about Islam? Because you were wearing a thobe on Steve Harvey, mashallah.
It's weird. Like, we live in America, so the context here is a little different. So I'm a Muslim, but I'm also black, right? And then, so socioeconomics, you have this whole thing, right? Oh, sorry about that. So socioeconomics, you have this whole thing, right? So it's not only one thing to be black, it's another thing to be Muslim, it's another thing to be poor, right? It's another thing to be a Democrat. So it's all these different things, right? And it's funny because a lot of people in the mainstream, they would have liked it better if I toned it down with Islam. Because at the time, I even had a conversation when someone asked me, why don't you just be black? What do you mean, why don't I just be black? He says, listen, all the black issues going on, everything's going on, all the hate stuff, you know, you can be a real champion for black people, like that, you know? And alhamdulillah, I think I can serve black people better by showing them that Islam is what helped me not be held down by most of the problems that are holding down black people.
So, backstage, we were talking about Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and their impact on you. And I think that a lot of Muslims, as a whole, feel an attachment to both of those figures, especially Muhammad Ali, because he just passed away recently. May Allah have mercy on him. And there's this revival of his legacy in many ways in the aftermath of his death. And for many people, they could draw from that inspiration. And not only that, but for many, they have drawn from that inspiration in difficult times. I want you to talk about growing up as a young black Muslim in the hood that was dealing with those types of circumstances. His father was killed. What was the connection that you felt to those two men in particular?
Muhammad Ali, I was like 12 years old and 6th or 7th grade, something like that. but this is like in school you had to do book reports. So you go to the library, you pick a book, you do a book report. And like most young kids, especially young black kids from the city, we were into sports. So I just go to all the football books, basketball books, I read all those. So then I come to these other books and see Muhammad Ali on the front like this, right? But it doesn't say Muhammad Ali, it says Cassius Clay. So I'm like, who's that? Yeah. And alhamdulillah, I read the book. It had a bunch of pictures of him when he was young, when he was older, when he became the heavyweight champ, when he lost the title, then he got the title back and all these different things. What really attached me to his story was triumph. That's what it was, honestly. It was a triumph, you know? And it's funny because there's this thing that you have like in the inner cities where it's almost easier to be bad than to be stupid, right? So in our communities, people don't read at high levels, right? Maybe 1 or 2 kids are smart at school. Maybe 1 or 2 kids are good mathematicians, maybe. But most people, because of the other things that are going on, they're also struggling academically, right? From that, you have this whole birth of thugs and gangsters because it's easier to be bad than stupid. It just is. And Muhammad Ali, in particular, his, how do you say it, flamboyance, right? And his, outgoing attitude before a positive thing blew my mind. I gotta tell you. Because all the guys I knew that popped trash, right? All the guys I knew that were flamboyant, they were like cold-hearted criminals, you know? So even if he did pop trash, no one's gonna say anything to him anyway, right? So Muhammad Ali, you know, to hear, he would go in the ring, he would say, this is about Sonny listening, say that, you watch the old clips, you know? And then he would run through the village in Africa and they would say, Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest. And for me, just being a young Muslim, because there was a time where we didn't have any examples of Islam in the whole neighborhood, man. And my mom, she had some books in her closet. We didn't know they were hadith at the time, but they were like these special books she wouldn't let anyone touch in the closet, you know? But most of the men were in jail. If they weren't in jail, then they were killed, right? If they weren't killed, then they were losing their lives on their way to being in jail or being killed, right? So you had this large group of women trying to raise children, right? They're trying to hold on to working. Some of them are trying to go to school, right? But at what point in time do we have to teach these young children to pray? At what point in time do we have to teach them Quran? At what point in time do we have to tell them, hey, listen, there's more to it than this, you know? And with Muhammad Ali, there's a portion in his book, or at least that particular book that was titled Cassius Clay, but he just spoke about how when he became a Muslim, how it changed his life and how it gave life new meaning and how it made him actually want to live his life. And for me, I was a kid and I was like, wait, I'm already Muslim. Wait a minute, dude, you know? So he made me feel like I had a head start, mashallah.
So this whole thing about the love and seeing in those kids what you saw in yourself, that those kids are me. And I thought that was, subhanAllah, the most moving part of what you just said, honestly, is like you have to be able to see those kids as yourself, that they are me. I can see myself in them. They have different names, they have different forms, but the same circumstances. And you had that love of them to stop them. And I think that a lot of what we're missing is an actual love for our people. You know, when you talk about loving your neighbor and loving your people, loving your, you know, the people of your country, loving your Muslim community and loving everybody around you, but that love not just being some lip service, but actually manifesting itself and caring for the betterment of society. And I think you demonstrated that beautifully, mashallah. Tell me about, I think, your mom more than that. I mean, I really, subhanAllah, when you were talking about your mom, and I related to that more than anything else. When I watched that clip of you thanking your mom and talking about her, how has life changed for her after this whole thing? I mean, do you feel like now she's finally getting some of the appreciation that she deserves for what she's done?
Yeah, but she doesn't like it. My mom is like, she's the most like under the radar person you would ever meet, bro. Like dead serious. And but what I will say is, you know what? It's like she tells me, like she called me one day, she was crying, and she said a group of kids walked up to her. And because it's one thing from her peers, they say, oh, you know, alhamdulillah, or even like some of her non-Muslim friends, they'll say, hey, you know, congratulations or different things, your son did very well, or things like that. And she's very modest. She says, you know, thank you, alhamdulillah, whatever God has for him, you know, he will have. And I pray that, you know, Allah Ta'ala keeps him safe, things like that. That's always her response, something to that effect, you know. But one time, this is recent, maybe like a month ago, she called me crying. There was a group of kids playing basketball close to where we live. And she got out of the car. She had like bags from shopping and everything. I don't live at home anymore. My brother wasn't there, so she was like getting her bags. And the group of kids, they stopped playing basketball. They came to my mom. They got her bags. They took the bags in her house. And as they were leaving, they told my mom, thank you. And she says, thank you for what? She's pulling out money to tip them. Like, you know, they're kids. So she's pulling out money to tip them. They say, no, we don't need it. And they were young, 12, 13. And they said, no, we're saying thank you because you're Ibn Ali's mom. So thank you for raising him. And it really, you know, it touched her big time. It touched me when she told me, but yeah. So.
May Allah bless her and subhanAllah. There's a lot, obviously, there's a lot of her and you, and a lot of that translated into a lot of what you've been doing that's been getting noticed. So now kind of shifting to like Islam in the inner cities, because you're not someone that's not practicing, that's not very involved in the masjids. You're very involved in the masjids. In fact, subhanAllah, you used your new fame to try to shed light on your masjid circumstances. Masjid Mohammed, right? In Atlantic City, because the roof had issues, and you had that launch good where you were trying to raise $50,000 to be able to repair the roof because there's molding and leaks and things of that sort. So I thought that was very much so part of the story, that we celebrate our heroes, and you're not going to accept this, but you are a hero to the Muslim community. We celebrate our heroes, but we don't invest in those communities as well. So this is actually to all of us. When the entire Muslim community benefits from a person, from a face like Ibn Ali going out there and doing what you've been doing, but the masjid that he's a part of is falling apart because all these big masjids are being built in the suburbs, but the roof of that masjid has holes in it. We have to ask ourselves, what type of environment are we providing to cultivate more of this? And so I want you I'm going to say this right now, that masjid, inshallah, they still have some money to raise, right? Masjid Muhammad. So inshallah, some of you that want to help that masjid out, please do approach Brother Ibn Ali, inshallah, and let's think about how to invest in those inner city masajid. What is it for you going forward? What do you think you could do? Because you've done a lot of da'wah to the outside, to the Muslim community. If you could deliver a message to the Muslim community, what would it be about what you think could improve the situation of Islam in the inner cities?
Okay. Everybody repeat after me, inshallah. You with me? Okay. It's just simple. You gotta, as soon as I say it, you gotta say it too so he can hear it really loud. I think it's simple. It's just literally spread love. A little louder than that, right? Spread love. One more time. Let's say it like we love the people sitting next to us, right? Spread love. That's it, bro. And I mean, if you want to get like an academic discussion, we can bust it down, but honestly, I'm telling you, just spread love. Spread love. Like whatever we have between us that are stopping us from coming together, whatever we have that makes people come to the inner cities, whatever we have that makes people come to the inner cities, benefit from the inner cities, and then, like you said, then leave, go to the suburbs, and build that masjid in the suburbs, right? Because here's the thing about the inner cities. In America, the notoriety of Islam, it came from the inner cities. Period. You know? And here's the thing is that, but then on the flip side, we have another phenomenon that we have today. We have Islamophobia, right? Islamophobia, it didn't originate in the inner cities. Islamophobia, it happened when a lot of us, we go to the inner cities, we benefit, whether it's business, whether it's real estate, right? I know a lot of people who got rich off of that government assistance card when the young poor people come in to swipe it in the machine, right? We take that money, we save that money, and the first thing we do is leave the inner city. Now, when we get to the suburbs, I'll send my daughter to an affluent school, right, or my son to an affluent school, and then he will come home, his name's not Mohammed anymore, it's Mo now, right? And then all of a sudden, his daughter, she doesn't want to wear hijab, she wants to straighten her hair and wear it with some of the curls like some of the other women in her school, right? So here's the thing, Islamophobia, it didn't originate in communities where there were poor black Muslims. It didn't. And so we have to ask ourselves a question, as Muslims in America as a whole, how many problems have we created for ourselves by separating from each other?
So in that, have you felt a change in the last few years with the heightened Islamophobia? Do you feel like you're being more welcomed now by Muslims that, and you can be real,
Alhamdulillah.
Muslims, you know, everyone always talks about the immigrant and African American divide.
Yeah.
I see that there's some positive, alhamdulillah, there is some traction.
Yeah.
Do you see that? I mean, do you feel like you're being more embraced? Do you feel like your community is being more embraced? When I say your community, I mean specifically within the Muslim community. Do you feel like the entire Muslim community is moving in a positive direction, or do you think not so much?
It's a two-sided answer to the question. Because on one end, of course, the Muslims are making strides, of course. On the flip side, you're asking someone, I'm 27, I've been black and Muslim my entire life, right? So we've literally seen groups of foreign Muslims come into the inner cities, use the masjid, right? Raise up the money amongst themselves. And I'm not gonna, it doesn't matter what country they're from or anything like that. Raise up the money amongst themselves and then literally leave the masjid, go to the suburbs, open up and forget all about the people in the inner cities. And we've seen this happen time and time and time again. On the flip side, you also have this, we have an arrogance in Islam as well. So there are a lot of people who wouldn't take from the black scholars because, you know, maybe they didn't learn overseas, maybe they didn't sit at the feet of this grand sheikh or that grand sheikh. Maybe they even learned Islam in jail. Maybe they remembered the whole Quran in jail. Does that make him hafiz nonetheless? You know? And so what we see, there's still a divide. We have a huge way to go. But I honestly think that that divide that took place, it wasn't with bad intention. I think when a lot of our parents or a lot of your parents, they come here to the country, right? They come home, they get their countrymen, and they set up. And there's nothing wrong with that. They say, you know what, this is my brother, my cousin, this is my friend. We're going to set up, we're going to give a better life for our children than we had in the old country. And they do what they have to do. Why? Because America to them is like a piece of paper in the drawer. So yeah, it's a whole country and all this and all that, but it's a set of laws, right? We can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that, and they do that. Here's the thing, you can't expect someone to come help you on your problem if they don't know your problem. So I can't expect you to come help me with black issues if you don't realize that black issues exist. And so one thing that I'm seeing is that as far as your uncles are concerned, so whenever we're speaking about this issue, there's one way of answering it for our elders, and there's another thing for the youth. So as far as all of the uncles are concerned, I don't blame none of the uncles. I can't. Because they did what they were supposed to do. They came here, they set up, and they gave many of you young foreigners a good life here in America. Here's the catch. The young Muslims, now that your friends are black, now that your friends are white, now that your friends are Puerto Rican, now that you have all these friends from America, some are Muslim, some are non-Muslim, now it's your job to make sure that the religion is integrated. That's a young person's job. So, alhamdulillah, my uncles, my real uncles, they're stuck in their ways. So you ain't gonna get them to change. So I'm not trying to get your uncle to change either, right? That's probably not gonna happen. But for young people, for us, inshallah, we really stick together. You know, we come out of our cultural bubbles, and if we really live the deen the way that the deen is supposed to be lived, I think we can shake this country. I think we can shake this country.
MashaAllah. So I'm assuming you've given shahada to a lot of people.
SubhanAllah.
You gave shahada to that. Allah guides through you, and you are
wills.
obviously involved in a lot of the da'wah efforts, mashallah.
Yeah.
I want you to share a beautiful story, a shahada story that you feel like would highlight many of the things that we're speaking about today. I mean, you mentioned, mashallah, you invested in those two kids. You helped them out. And obviously you did that not to make them Muslim, you did that because you're a Muslim. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided one of those kids to Islam through that effort that you did. Can you share something or something that would be both inspirational and instructional as well, in giving shahada to someone where you felt like that investing in someone paid off in the greatest way? You mentioned your sheikh again investing in you.
Alhamdulillah. I usually try to keep all this stuff like this, like private matters, Sheikh. You know, Here's the thing, man. It's like this. The people who are going to listen to me talk about Islam, they're not going to listen to you. Perhaps the people who listen to you, they won't listen to me, right? My walk of life has been different than yours and yours to mine. It's the same as that we say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. For me to live that Muhammadan reality, and for you to live that Muhammadan reality, we've had to overcome different struggles. So where we are, like in the deen, we have this, everyone knows we have this idea of being zahid, like being aesthetic. Zuhd to dunya. It's like huge. You want to study, you want to, right, abstain from the world. Well, we live around people. That's not such a big idea to wrap your mind around, because literally your whole life is zuhd. You don't have a lot of clothes. You never have a lot of food. You don't have all the video games. People I know didn't have computers until they were like 21 years old. Could you imagine a house without a computer until you're 21 years old? So one of the biggest things for me is literally, okay, I won't be so like politically correct here. When drug dealers become Muslims, it's the greatest thing to me, period, period. When killers become Muslims, it's the greatest thing to me, period. And alhamdulillah, over the last year, we have witnessed many, many drug dealers and many, many killers become Muslims. And I can't tell you, yeah.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. I think that your work speaks for itself, and I know you want to keep this as a private matter and the work that you're doing, but it shows that you're very invested. And I think, you know, maybe that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to shine this light on you and to use you for our community and to use you for this deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you sincere, keep your heart full of iman and for love of people as you have it. You, mashallah, have a heart of gold, it seems. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and keep you on that path and use you for good. I think that the take-home message, you know, we just got a couple of minutes left. How many of you are from Chicago, by the way? Oh, mashallah.
Visit the South Side, please.
What he said, number one. And actually, I was going to mention someone, subhanAllah, that that does that a lot. You know, Brother Rami Nashashibi and Iman, what they do, alhamdulillah, in terms of work in the inner cities and the South Side is just fantastic. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him and elevate that work. And I think that what we see through examples like yourself and brothers that are actually leading the way for us to show that care and show that delight in seeing someone's life change. What is it that makes it so fulfilling when a drug dealer becomes Muslim? What is it that, you know, Imam Siraj shut down 15 crack houses, drug houses in Brooklyn. What is it that makes it so fulfilling to see someone completely change their lives around? I think, and I'm going to leave with that thought, and then I'm going to let you have the final word, inshallah ta'ala. For me, it's, you know, when you see Islam transform someone else, that transformative power transforms someone else's life like that, then it speaks to your own life. What can Islam then do for me? If it could do something like that for a person in that state and bring them to what it brings them to, what then could it do for me? What is the power of this deen that's been given to us? Walillah alhamd. So that's my final thought. I'm going to let you have the final thought, then we're going to wrap it up, inshallah.
That was, alhamdulillah, it reminds me of like your khutbah from earlier, mashallah. Hope that everyone was paying close attention. So, here's the thing. Why would someone, ask yourself this question, why would someone buy narcotics to sell? The amount of money he's gonna make, I don't know, $1,000, maybe $2,000, maybe $3,000, right? Whatever it is, say 10 grand or 20 grand, even 100 grand, right? He's gonna make that amount of money. And he has to do this every single day, 24/7, doesn't get time off, doesn't get days off. And that idea of Jay-Z is fake. That's not a real idea. Like, I don't know anybody that's like that where I'm from, right? And what's against him literally is 10 years if he gets caught. It's 5 years if he gets caught. It's 20 years if he gets caught. That's police. Perhaps some other guys who are not making 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, maybe they come with their guns to take his money. Maybe he doesn't give his money up, maybe he kills him. Maybe they kill him. What would make a person dedicate themselves days, weeks, months, and years literally to that type of lifestyle? A person without any hope. That's who. A person who feels trapped and feel they have no other way. So when a person like that, when they become a Muslim, I don't know a better definition of the word hope. I don't know of one. When a person becomes a Muslim and they say, you know what? I'm going to be a Muslim. I'm going to follow Muhammad. And in that, I'm going to find solace. So it's okay. I'm a Muslim. You know what? If I don't have the money, Allah will provide for me. If I don't have the food, then Allah will provide for me. If I don't have the clothes, Allah will provide for me. If I don't have a place to live, then Allah will provide for me. When you become a Muslim, then you're accepting that. You're accepting those things that are unseen. You're accepting that there is something bigger than you. There is something that controls this universe, that controls the people, and everything in it bigger than you. Why? Because what's in front of you is still the ghetto. When you walk out your door, there are still drug addicts, there are still killers, there are still enemies. So there's nothing that's changed physically. There's nothing changed outside of your door, nothing changed with you. Something changed in the heart. You have hope now. You have hope for a life. And alhamdulillah. And I think the biggest way that we can continue that is for everyone. Because I don't want anyone here who's not from a ghetto. I don't want you to leave and for you to hear Ibn Ali and to think that now you have to go and do all of this work for the Muslims in the ghetto. You don't. That's my job. That's my job. And I'm going to do my job. But I need you to do your job too. So those young people who are from wherever you're from, that maybe you're lost or maybe you're confused, they are your job. Period. If they're in the old country or they're in the new country, if they go to your school, if they go to your mosque, if you play basketball with them on the weekends, if you guys do the woman, how do you do the makeup tutorial things with each other, with all that stuff, right? Whatever the case may be, literally, those people who you can put your hand out and touch, they are your responsibility. So I'll continue to work in the hood. I'm never going to leave. Literally, I promise that. I'm never going to leave the hood, especially my hood. I'm always going to be there.
Last thing, any project? Sorry, I mean.
No. I was just going to say, and I pray that I find you in your hood as well.
Any project that we can sponsor? What's your future plans, inshallah, with this?
So we have, alhamdulillah, we have everybody put up 2 fingers like this. 2 fingers, please, the whole crowd, 2 fingers, everybody 2 fingers, like that. So if you ever see me do that, what that means is that the Prophet ﷺ, he says something which means that whoever takes care of an orphan, because that's fard kifaya here, the orphan is supposed to be made to feel not motherless or not fatherless, right? And if someone does this, one person, then all of the adults in that locale, then they're okay. If no one does this, then all of the adults in that locale are sinful. So here's the thing, when we throw up this sign, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that whoever takes care of the orphan, him and I will be like these 2 fingers in Jannah. And that's what we're striving for, to be like this with Rasulullah ﷺ in the next life for the things we did in this life. And last, I'm sorry, this is one more. And for us, we try our best not to separate from each other. So like he mentioned, Masjid Muhammad of Atlantic City, everything that I do literally goes through the masjid. Why? Because I feel like too many times you'll see someone and Allah Ta'ala, he will raise them up and put them on the stage and then they will go do their own thing. So everything will be Ibn Ali this, or Ibn Ali that, or Ibn Ali this, or Ibn Ali that. And for me, it's more important that my community, that Masjid Muhammad receives the help. Because here's the thing, if Masjid Muhammad receives the help, then the people that help me receive the help. And the people that are going to help me help people are going to receive the help. And the people who really need the help will get the help, inshallah. So please, help the masjid.
I think I speak for everybody. Jazakallah khair for honoring us with your presence. It was such a blessing to meet you in person. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you for all the good that you've done, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable you to do more.
Ameen.
Keep your heart firm, keep your feet planted, inshallah, and keep you as a guiding light for our community. Jazakumullah khairan to MAS for providing this session, to Yaqeen Institute for Confident Muslim. Jazakumullah khairan to all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.